coming down the last days here where I've really got to take the does off. I've got a quote I've got to meet, and that's because of our management program.
But we're going to make some barbecue in a Dutch kettle, folks, and it's going to be a simple, easy thing. The whole idea is to have the barbecue cooking in the Dutch kettle while we're out on our evening hunt.
Today, we're going to take a little time to just talk a little bit about taking care of your fishing gear. Welcome to A Sportsman's Life. We're so glad you tuned in to join us for another exciting real-world outdoor adventure right here on A Sportsman's Life.
Coming down the tail end of the day. It's been a good day. I was actually able to take 2 does just a little while ago. Just really fast. It's been the situation. These does come out and they don't give you a whole lot of time. And the result of that, you got to make a decision, get on to them pretty quick and make the shot if you can. And I was able to do that, but unfortunately, sometimes you can't get them on camera when you're self-filming. In a different situation, yes, and maybe tomorrow we can get one on camera, but this afternoon it was just really quick. There it was, and they had to take care of that opportunity when it arrived. And if you don't, it's you're going to miss that opportunity. We're coming down the last days here where I've really got to take the does off. I've got a quote I've got to meet, and that's because of our management program. And so to be assured that those animals that we leave will be on a good nutritional diet, coming out of a really rough period of time. So I want to make darn sure these animals have plenty to eat. Well, one or two that I've got down. I shot this one through some brush and knew it was a young doe, but at the same time we got to remove a whole bunch of does, and it really doesn't make a bit of difference with the age, and we do need to remove some young ones as well too. So that's what this one is down. Gonna drag her to the road and go find the other one. The other one's just laying right over there. I can see the white belly. So I loaded my gun when I left the stand. Gonna pull her to the road and wait for Lance to come pick me up. Oh my! Yeah, this is a good, really old doe. Kind of what I thought. Well, between a 1.5 old doe and this one, I'd say we did pretty good. Pretty good afternoon on an MLD program, which allows me to take the number of does that are required to be taken off the property. And each one of us on the lease has got a quota. My quota happens to be like 7/8 or something like that. So gonna drag her back to the road. I've already seen the lights. Lance is headed this way. We'll load her up and go make some really good eating. Not only that, this vegetation that she's not eating, those deer will have an opportunity that are still alive here, some young bucks and some young does, to really turn into a healthy deer herd. Got to take a lot of deer off this property this year. Let's drag her off of here. We'll get her taken care of.
Brought to you by Dallas Safari Club, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornaday, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus Firearms, maker of the Raging Hunter. Trijicon, brilliant aiming solutions.
Well, folks, it is time for our cooking segment in today's show. As you see, I'm dressed pretty heavily. It's kind of cold out here. I'm actually only about 80 yards from my house. My cabin is behind us back here. I do a lot of my cooking out here and do a lot of the filming too. But we're going to make some barbecue in a Dutch kettle, folks, and it's going to be a simple, easy thing. The whole idea is to have the barbecue cooking in the Dutch kettle while we're out on our evening hunt. B&B charcoal, I'm going to show you a close-up of what I'm using, how to do it, and you might want to try this. It'll sure save you a lot of time away from the grill. You know, if you want to come in after a hunt and grill a bunch of stuff, you can do it like this. It's a quick way to do it. So let me give you a close-up here. And folks, this is about as simple as outdoor cooking gets. Here's our B&B charcoal. They'll be ready to put on the Dutch kettle here in about another 10 minutes. You see I've got a big grill. We could come in and grill all this on the grill, but this is so much quicker. Have our B&B charcoal. This stuff burns for a solid hour. That's why one of the reasons I use it for my Dutch kettle cooking and my grilling. So it gets pretty simple from here on. Here is some wild pork in a Dutch kettle with some Best of Texas barbecue sauce put on it. Right here. This stuff is named appropriately, folks. It is the best barbecue sauce that I've ever used. Pretty simple. Got our fire going right here. We've got our Dutch kettle. I season this with some salt, pepper, a little garlic powder. But when we come in, or actually if I were hunting this evening, when you come in from the hunt after 2 or 3 hours, this B&B charcoal will have played out. It would done its thing a little over an hour, but that'll be plenty of time to get that pork just tender as can be. So we'll get our charcoal down to where we want it, get it burning real good, put it on the Dutch kettle, and let her cook. Okay, my friends, we have our charcoal white ready to cook. Actually, it is cooking. We're going to leave it in here. Actually, what I'm going to do is go in the house and forget about this. These B&B charcoal briquettes are going to cook for a solid hour. They're going to keep it cooking for over that. And in this small pot, you know, it's a relatively small pot, that pork is going to get fork tender. So our next, let's relax, kick back a little bit. I'm going to come back out here maybe, in an hour and a half, 2 hours. About the time it would take to come back from an afternoon deer hunt or hog hunt. And bingo, we're going to have some real tender barbecue. So let's relax a little bit, and we'll come back in a little bit and let's look at these. We'll plate a couple of them and see if you think they're edible. Well, folks, here is our Dutch kettle after 1 hour and 31 minutes cooking. See how these coals are holding together? There's still, I bet that thing will cook another 2 or 3, maybe another, at least a couple more hours. I cannot resist. Let's pull the top on this thing and see what our wild pork's looking like. Oh boy. Does that look like good barbecue or what? Let me get a fork here. Let's take a look. You think that's going to be tender? Okay, let's just do a little fork test. Let's check this out. As Mr. Wysoon would say, Folks, that's going to be some very good barbecue. I think you can see how tender that is. Look at that. Anyway, folks, I think you get the crux of it. Great barbecue. I'm gonna put a little more barbecue sauce on this, and then we're gonna get in the house where it's warm and chow down. I hope you enjoyed a little cooking segment. You can make barbecue in a Dutch kettle very easily yourself. So hope these little tips helped you.
Sportsman's Life is also brought to you by the YO Steakhouse, Catch and Release Apparel, AGM Global Vision, H3 Whitetail Solutions, and Pyramid Air.
Hello, sports fan. This is Bill Carey with Striper Express with your weekly fishing tip on a Sportsman's Life. Hey, you want to learn more about fishing? Go to a tackle show. That's where we're at this weekend. Bunches of people, all sorts of good deals, fishing tackle galore. So my tip for the week is get out, get to a show next time you see one. It is the way to do it. Let's go to our booth for a minute. All right, guys, here's our booth. We're at the National Fishing Expo in Fort Worth. Great little show. This is what we do when we go to shows. This is our booth. Remember, the thrill of the hunt with artificial lures. So, get to a tackle show, have some fun, and go catch a fish.
Conservation Today is brought to you by Hayden Outdoors Real Estate, the brand that sells the land. Visit HaydenOutdoors.com to find or sell your farm, ranch, or recreational property.
Well, you think you want to buy a hunting ranch down in Texas? The market today, a lot of people are buying cattle ranches, and the prices they're bringing, you can't justify to buy them as a cattle ranch. So if you're going to buy a ranch, turns out you get a cattle ranch, but you want to make it into a hunting ranch. Do you need to get rid of all those cattle? Do you want to keep some cattle around? You want to make sure you've got water. How much water do you need? And what type of food sources are best? And is there enough cover on that ranch for the whitetails to stay in?
Today, we're going to take a little time to just talk a little bit about taking care of your fishing gear. So I've got a old Abu Garcia reel here. This is one of the Ambassador 5000 series reels, and absolutely love these reels. They go back a few years, but they are extremely functional and great for fishing. First thing I like to do is to get rid of the old line. This line's probably been on there, well, since probably early last year, and it needs to come off. So we'll start by taking the line off every reel, and then we'll clean each reel completely, and then we'll oil the intricate parts of this reel. Make sure that it's well oiled, it's got brand new fishing line on it, and then you're ready for the upcoming season. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Let's pull some line off this thing and let's get this thing cleaned up. One thing you definitely want to do is dispose of old line properly. This stuff, while it's great for fishing, can be a detriment to wildlife and everything else around. So dispose of this properly. Get rid of your old line. I wound it up here so nothing can get caught in it. It's gonna go immediately into the trash can. So tip number one, dispose of this line properly. We've got silicone oil. We're gonna use this for oiling. You can get real oil. Silicone oil works very well as well. So, but you definitely wanna oil the different parts of your reel, the moving mechanisms. Like I said, the level one, you want to get some in there, into the crank, anywhere in here where there's functioning parts, you definitely want to get some oil in there. So I'm gonna start by getting this cleaned up and get a clean rag and this thing down. We're gonna get it oiled up, we're gonna re-spool it, and we're gonna be ready to go for fishing. We've got our rod here, and we're gonna clean that up as well. We'll set our reel aside here for now. What you want to do is you want to inspect each one of these eyelets. Make sure that there's no damage to them, that the ceramic ring is in each one, and these can actually bend up and down. So if anything looks out of place, this one looks a little bit bent. I might just push on that a tad. That one looks good, looks good, looks good. And of course your tip, you always want to check that tip to make sure the tip is nice and glued in there solid. Of All right, we've got everything cleaned up, so it's time to put this reel, and we'll seat it on there. We'll tighten this down here. This is your little nut that tightens down that piece that holds your reel onto your rod. Twist it a couple times. Make sure it's super tight. You do not want that coming off when you're out fishing. So that feels super tight, super smooth. Wow. So let's get some fishing line on here, and we'll have one ready to go. Time to fish. Loading the reel with 16-pound trilene. Big game in preparation for a little largemouth bass fishing. So got our reel all geared up, got our rod cleaned and all the eyelets checked. Brand new fishing line. Everything is working smoothly here. So we're just going to get some line on this thing, and then we're going to prepare for a little fishing adventure. There we go. All we need to do is tie a lure on now, folks, and we are ready to go fishing. So, all right, it's time to clean a few other rods and reels.
Folks, thanks so much for joining us. This segment of our show is brought to us by Gearhead Archery, Snaplock Hunting Blinds, Smoking Texas Electric Smokers, TRHP Outdoors, Ultramatic Feeders, and Catfish Pro Catfish Bait and Catfishing Supplies. Make sure and tune in next week. We'll have another exciting show ready to go for you.